why we're still beating the hell out of each other and blowing each other up over religion is, it really does puzzle me a lot, because we all have a similar source. We're all related technically. Every human being on the planet is connected to every other human being on the planet. But all of our religions are connected. Christianity was an outgrowth of Judaism. Islam, the whole story is part of an orchestrated plan to make us wake up, behave ourselves, and stop butchering each other. And if you were to tell all of that to some of the militants out there, some of the bomb carriers, some of the suicide bombers, and all of the rest of them, I'm not sure how it would be relieved or released or accepted. I think you might have to run for your life if you tried to say it. I've gotten myself in pretty hot water over the years, a time or two, by pointing out in my belief that that young man from Galilee was just who he said he was. And I tell some of my fundamentalist friends to go back and read your Bible and read what he had to say about who he was and where he was from. But that's part of it. It's religious dynamite. A lot of people aren't ready for that yet.
I know exactly what you mean. Lou, this is David Twitchell.
Ah, how you doing?
I wrote the UFO Jesus Connection, and so I know exactly what you're talking about. But you're right, and I appreciate you answering that question from your point of view.
Well, you've done your own homework, Mr. Twitchell, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'd like to read your book. I didn't know you had one out there.
Yeah.
Where can I find a copy?
I didn't really call to put in a plug, but I had to say something. It's a long URL. Punch in the UFO Jesus Connection into your search and pop up.
UFO Jesus Connection. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much for answering that question. Thank you, too, Lou.
All right, have a good night. Bye-bye. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. You're on the Lou Gentile Show. Who am I speaking with?
Yeah, hello. This is Richard.
Yes, Richard. What's your question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if if we can address the issue as to whether or not people were actually on the moon. This is an ongoing debate. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I can just tell you what I've learned. I've seen photographs taken by astronomers that show incredible things going on the moon. There's an indication that there not only are enormous, what do I say, structures, buildings, facilities of one kind or another on the moon that have been photographed repeatedly by astronomers over the years, but have never been released to the public. And there's indications that some of the activity is ongoing. They say things happening, things going on continually.
So do you think the conspiracy theory then is just misinformation?
Well, your use of the word conspiracy kind of amuses me, because I've dug into the dictionary, and I know what the word says, and I know what it means. And I hate to put it this way, but all government activity is a conspiracy of one kind or another. And in the true meaning of the word, you see. And the same damn thing applies to certain religions on this planet. And I hate to step on people's toes, but I've got good friends who are Catholics who know a great deal about what goes on in Rome. And you talk about conspiracy. Man, what goes on in the Vatican makes Washington look like Cub Scouts. So conspiracy is a way of life in major religions and in major politics, and major governments all over the planet. It's a reality. And
so do you believe then that just that the information that they give, that the radiation is too strong for the astronauts to have been there, it's too hot, do you think that we have actually gotten around that then? Or are these valid arguments?
I don't know whether we've gotten around it. I know this radiation is a problem. And the longer you're out there, the worse it can be. And there are times when they simply would not let astronauts go up when there were solar flares and the solar radiation was at its height. So radiation is serious business. Now, how much you can accept without really getting sick, I really don't know. But it apparently didn't bother them when they got the guys up there. You know, we had about 6 different groups that got there and walked around and took pictures. So apparently there is a problem with radiation. I know that's one of the major problems that they're dealing with if we try to send people off to Mars. Because you get beyond the Van Allen belt, radiation, I guess, can be quite serious. And if you wanted to be a father and father a son or a child, you might give some serious thought to whether you wanted to go out in orbit, get out there. But I do believe we went to the moon. I talked to Ed and I've talked to Gordon, and we got to the moon. The big secret is not that did we or did we not get there. The big secret is what we ran into when we got there.
Right. And you mentioned you did actually see photos yourself that were taken from the Earth of the moon?
Yeah. I've seen photographs that were taken by some of the probes. You know, I've had a chance to see photographs that were taken by the Defense Department. Photographs that were taken not only by NASA, but by the Department of Defense of the moon from manned and unmanned missions. We've taken a hell of a lot of pictures up there in unmanned missions. One of the greatest missions of all time was not too long ago, was called the Clementine mission. Clementine was a Department of Defense shoot that sent an object to the moon loaded with film and cameras. And the Clementine orbited the moon for about, 300 orbits. And they sent back pictures that were absolute dynamite. But out of all the 300 pictures, or the thousands of pictures they took, only about a half a dozen have been released. Because they simply don't want the mass of the people to know that there is intelligent activity going on the moon. It disrupts, it upsets the common folk. It could screw up the ball game, or it could mess up the bowling alley statistics, or it could mess around with the stock market. And they don't want anything like that to happen. They want to keep things calm and keep things going on just the way they want them to do. Upsetting the common folk by telling them the truth is not in their game plan. Yeah, well, things seem to be upset as they are already anyways with the stock market crashing. Listen, I believe that this stuff is beginning to dribble out. People are beginning to talk. A lot of retired military are talking. Now, how many people are paying attention, I don't know. We had a whole bunch of them who've come up and said, this is the way it is, this is what I saw, this is what I learned. But not a hell of a lot of people really pay attention to that. Unless there were... Great. All right, well, I'm calling from Japan, and this is going to be on my phone bill. So thanks a lot for your time, guys.
All right, have a good night.
Okay.
1-800-594-9270. That's 1-800-594-9270. And very, very interesting. You got somebody coming on in the next 20 minutes. Who's an old friend of mine. Oh, yeah?
Roger Lear, I've known for some years. And he's one hell of a guy. And he has done some incredible work. Are you familiar with what he's been doing?
Oh, yeah, he's been on the show before.
Yeah, good. Well, the point is, how much of the information that Roger has come up with has really made it into the mainline media? How many major reporters, let's say from the Washington Post or the New York Times or whatever, have ever taken the time to talk to Roger, interview him, and write about it in the newspaper? And don't worry about taking time to figure that one out, because I can tell you the answer is zilch. Roger's done some incredible work, and nobody has ever really taken the time to really cover what he's done.
Well, Bob, let me ask you this: Would you like to be on the next hour?
No, I'm running out of